Hello everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I'm headed out of this shed today, although there's a lot more work that needs to be done in there for multiple reasons, including the fact that it's 5:30 in the afternoon right now, and I have sold exactly one thing on eBay for $11.99 plus shipping. And we did a live show today and made, $600-800. I can't remember how much it was already, and it's like, $11.99 on eBay makes you think. But in reality, it doesn't really. I'm not concerned. This stuff happens all the time. We had great sales yesterday. You'll see those in this video today. I do have a question that I want to answer today that I get way too much. I think this is kind of a foolish thing. I have a problem saying that. Not for absolutely everybody, but just about everybody. Plus, I'm getting a little tired of these not return requests, cancellation requests. Had 3 yesterday. I've only made 1 sale. One of those requests was for today, 2 of them from the day before. I want to talk about that and some other topics. Let's go take a look. Come on. Where's your brother? Huh? Where's your brother? You don't care. You just want a treat. Pillowcase, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Vintage Major League Baseball 1996. This was listed forever and did not sell, but it finally did sell for $12.74 on 25% off discount plus shipping. Before we start hitting these sales here, I'm going to come back here, avoid the dog, and turn off the AC because it's kind of loud. I think we might hit that question first right off the bat, but after that, we're going to talk about, I feel like something has to change for me. I feel like I'm working a ton lately, just a ton, and I'm a little bit exhausted, kind of going, burning the candle at both ends. Have really had to lean on my wife and Jess and even the kids a little bit, although Turner's under the weather. Here's the other dog. Poor puppy got left out there. Come on, bud. He left you. Yeah, you went right back there like, what'd you leave me for? The question is about what you do after you've listed an item. And I tell you what, I get this question all the time, and I did it for a short time with certain items, and I will very rarely do it now. But let me talk about this item, then I'll ask the question and answer it. And then get your opinion on it. A little MacBook, it's an older one, and it did not sell for a ton, but it still sold 60 bucks plus shipping. This question is about pre-packing. So they said, I'm fairly new to eBay, but every time I list an item, I pre-package it up, and I weigh it and I measure it so I can do calculated shipping, and it's ready to go when I ship it. And I heard you say one time, that's a bad idea, and I just want to understand the rationale behind it. So, boy, I'll tell you what, I could give you 5 different rationales why you should not do that. I'll start with this one. If you do get a question about an item and it's already packaged up, you have to unpackage it if you don't know the answer to the question. That's a minor one in my opinion. The biggest reason I would not do that, the absolute biggest, is because of space. It's space. You are taking, let me just look at what I got right here and I'll show you what I mean. If we were to take all these and to package them all up, it would take up 5 times the volume of space that we're currently using to store items. Can you imagine? We couldn't put, if we packaged everything up in here, we couldn't stack it floor to ceiling and get it to fit in here. It takes a massive amount of space when you do that. There's even some more rationales to it, like this one. Listen, sometimes things don't sell. That leads me to another question. We might get into that today too. And there's going to be a few things that don't sell. Matter of fact, we're going to use this to piggyback into the next thing. Somebody said, what do you do with stuff that doesn't sell? This was on Trash Cash Facebook group. And they didn't ask me. They were just asking the group. And a lot, donated, have a yard sale, whatever. Look, the reality is, for most people who have done this long enough, there are going to be very few of those items. If something has a very poor sell-through rate, if something is damaged and you're trying to get something out of it, there's all kinds of reasons why an item just, no matter what you do, you can't get it to sell. That number should be minuscule. It should be tiny. In my opinion, it should be like 1% of the items you list. Now, when I've said this in the past, people have, been pretty hard on me for saying that, but that's the reality. There are items every year we go through and we do delist them off of eBay. I used to almost never do that. Now I do that because I do a little bit of live selling and it's been around forever. And, Even if I sell it, you know, we're only making this. I'm like, well, let's just sell it and get rid of it and get our, you know, money back or whatever. But that's another reason, another rationale not to pre-package is because, you know, you've used all that space, all that time, and the item never sold. But in reality, in my opinion, items that don't sell, I mean, shoot, we sell, I don't know, I should probably look at the numbers. Well over 3,000 items a year just on eBay alone. And pure delisting of an item for a purpose like the person stated, like it's just not selling no matter what I do, it's been around for a year, whatever. You know, I leave items in my store for multiple years if need be, because they're not taking up much space. It's whatever. I'll go back and rework the listings. I'll, you know, repost it. I'll change the price. I'll run a sale. I'll do whatever. I bet you we don't delist 30 items a year, unless there's a different reason for us doing it. But for not having an item out there, or for having an item not sell, and finally just cutting bait with it, it's probably less than 1% a year. I don't sell nearly as much perfume as I used to. I want to know, though, about that other topic real quick. Let me show you this one. Better Rouge and Parfume. This one sold for, what is the brand on this? I don't even know. Sold for $26.21 plus shipping. And listen, I don't want to insult people who do. Matter of fact, I'll throw my Aunt Lori under the bus. My Aunt Lori, who I love dearly, Uncle Mark's garage sale from a few years ago down there in North Carolina. She pre-packages. And I've tried to convince her not to. One of the reasons people do it, I think the reason that most people do it is because they want to put the exact numbers on there when they do their shipping. I don't use that method at all anyway, so it doesn't make a difference to me. I just pick a shipping price. Because I've been doing it so long, my shipping is set as flat rate. I just pick a flat rate shipping price. That doesn't mean I ship flat rate post office, by the way. Every time I say that, I get that comment. It just means I pick a price that I'm going to ship it out. I put standard shipping on it, and I choose how it's shipped, and that's just it. I make money on most of those. Occasionally, I'll lose a little bit of money. It is not worth it to me to pre-pack so I can get those numbers, so I can get the weight. It's not that big of a difference. Matter of fact, size of an item is far more important than weight of an item as well. And you can look at an item, like look at this item. Y'all are pathetic over here. Look, you can look at if you want to measure it, that's fine. I wouldn't. I would just probably say 14 by 10 by 4 or 14 by 10 by 6, something like that. And I'd just be done with it. And it doesn't even matter what I put in if I was doing calculating, but I wouldn't even bother with that. I don't even change the numbers. I just put the flat rate and put the numbers in when I ship it. So there you go. There's 13. So really it probably needs a 15-inch box to make sure it's safe. But 14 is fine if you're doing calculated. It's not going to be that big of a difference. Where you have to worry about an item is when it's big. When it has a chance of getting outside of a cubic foot. Then you got to worry about it. To be honest with you, when I'm selling large size items like that or these up here, I'm just picking a price and putting on it. You know, something like that Shogun Warrior right there, I might put 30 bucks, 40 bucks shipping on that thing. It doesn't really matter because if the item is high enough priced, people are going to factor that into the sale of the item. And it's going to keep your audience really big. If you start doing calculated shipping on those items, you're removing if you're where I'm at, you're removing the West Coast or vice versa. Sometimes when it's an item that expensive, it doesn't make a darn bit of difference. But there are many, many different ways to do this. And I do pre-package some items. This might surprise some people. If it's an item that I think just by sitting around and moving other items to get to, or getting other items and having to move those items, if I think there's a chance that it might break or get damaged, I will pre-package an item. I bet I don't have 3 or 4 pre-packaged items right now in my store. I rarely do it. Some of y'all were complaining the dogs weren't in the last video. It's because Blue's mama was home when I was filming. I was filming earlier in the day. Some days I can, and most days I can't. I gotta film in the afternoon, but I'm trying to go pick up my daughter and watch her gymnastics tonight. So I'm hoping to get this done in time to go do that. RC Cola, they just keep selling, y'all. They just keep selling. This one sold for $22, just like the other 4 of the other 5 that sold, I think, $22 plus shipping. Well in the profit on these. The buy I bought this in, we're already in the profit on as well. So I love that when you can sell just a few items off that you bought in a lot. And everything else, you know, after fees and everything is going to be profit, and that is right there. The next one I just bought, just pictured. I don't even think we've moved it into the shed yet. So I'm going to go grab it. We were so busy in here, and you see we still got a ton of work, which will be the topic of the video at the end here when we get to it. Little G.I. Joe, what's that guy's name? Tracker or something? I can't remember his name. He usually comes with quite a few. I think he's got an eagle with him and a pack and something around. He comes with some accessories that I do not have, so I put it out there pretty cheap. I think $12.95 for this one, and it's sold. All right, I probably should have said $12.95 plus shipping. I'm gonna double check that, make sure that's right, and my computer is turned off. And you probably want to eat that, don't you? $12.95 plus shipping for him, and I had that one when I was a kid. Found it in a nice little lot at a private pick. That was a fortunate phone call I got from one of my wife's friends. So that one's pretty cool. Let's head out the door. By the way, that's from 1984, and it's Spirit Tracker. There's another reason maybe not to be doing pre-packaging. You know, I've sold tons of G.I. Joes. Usually when I start selling G.I. Joes, I have massive quantities. And then you got to label each one, and sometimes your labeling will confuse yourself unless you're actually looking at it, can see the picture. So there's another reason. But is there anybody out there who does pre-package? Maybe you're in a niche that makes it much more possible. Smaller niche, for instance, that might be, you know, you're able to file things away or something like that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. All right, boys, I got to head inside here really quick. Then we're going to get to that topic about these requests. You know what? I might even show you what sold that somebody requested to cancel. I was pretty disappointed. Y'all couldn't even stay in the shed for 1 minute. You know I'm coming back. I always come back. Members only jackets. I'll tell you what, y'all. 2 in a few days and 3 in the last couple of weeks. Members only jackets. I don't know why they're selling in the spring, but I don't know why they sell that much anyways. This members only jacket's in good shape. Sold for $34.95 plus shipping. I am going to get to the return request. Or not. Why do I keep saying that? The request for cancellation. But before I do, this reminded me of one more thing. I don't, with jackets and t-shirts, I hang them all up. I hang them all up. I used to do it in the order, well, I still do it with jackets. I hang them up in the order that I list them. So if I look at them, I'm like, oh, it's been listed forever. Then I go to the back of that closet and work my way that way. And I usually find it if it's something I just listed, then I go to the front and work my way that way. I like it that way. Some people think that system is crazy, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And if you do just clothing, you know, putting them in those prepackaged little things that are clear and putting them with a SKU system, I get all that. And I might do that too if that's what I did, but I don't do that much clothing. So my pants and stuff are all right here. I don't do so much of it that it's hard to find. Now, as far as t-shirts, we have had a little bit of an adjustment. We now do what some Goodwills you've seen doing, so we color code them. And so the white ones, the black ones, the red ones, the yellow ones, whatever. So when I go to look for my t-shirts, I just go to that red section and pull out the red one that just sold. So that's one way we use for our systems. People always ask me about all my systems, and I don't usually like to tell people because my systems are for me, and I'm happy to expose them. But I do think that people, based on their own personality, I think it's really important to choose your own system and to take bits and pieces of other people's. I was listening to Ray, Nashville Flippers, the other day, and he had Chaz on there, and he was talking about the system of, you know, I think he uses a magnet board for the tape guns and stuff. For me, I know where it's like markers are here, Scotty peelers are here, these go here. I have a knife down here. If it's closer, if I'm working on this side of the table, maybe my wife's in here. I've got my knives here. I think systems are important for sure. And they can shave seconds off. And that's going to be the part of this video at the very end. I am in the business of saving seconds because I need minutes at the end of the day. So I've got 3 return, I'm going to do it again, cancellation requests in the last 2 days. And whatever, yesterday was fine, no big deal, because I haven't had very many, because I was having a bunch of sales. Today I've had virtually no sales at all. And this return I did it, well, 5th time. What is my problem? This cancellation request got me because it was a $350 sale. I'll put the item up right here. It's been in my store for a while, and I'm just waiting for the right one. This came from from East Asia, and I'm like, this is awesome, sweet. And then not long after, I got that cancellation request. Have you been getting more of those lately? I sure have. The next item that sold is not the way I like to sell these items, and it's because I didn't list this one. And that's okay. I can't ever complain because it's all ultimately my responsibility. I buy these Parcheesi boards for $1. I usually won't pay more than that. And I part them out. I part them out into the pieces with the cups and the dice. And I usually get as much for those as, or very close to it, as I do for the entire board. So you might be like, what's the difference? Well, the difference is in shipping, because you pay fees on that shipping too. It's also in space. And so I would not pick this up to sell as a board game, but we did. $14.96 plus shipping. I mean, the time involved in shipping this is 5 times as long as shipping just those pieces, and even for $1 or $2 more, which in this case, it really even isn't that when you calculate it all out. It's not worth it. So, but I bought so much stuff lately, I've had to ask my wife or Jess to do things that I would typically do and kind of bail me out. And we'll talk about that at the end. So, hey, at least it wasn't a at least it wasn't a cancellation request. This next item, I don't remember buying it. Maybe my wife did it at a thrift store or something. I'm not quite sure. This screams of something that she would buy. And she's like, it'll make us money. And I'm like, you're right. And I just walk away. Because I'm like, I wouldn't probably buy it. I don't know. I don't know what it costs. Maybe if it was like $1.99 or something. I found it. That's good. I was hoping it was in there. And I may have to put the camera down to get it. Now that I'm looking at this, and I threw my wife under the bus. I guess I could say it now because it doesn't sound like I'm being mean to her. I think my mom gave me this. Not as something, you know, as a gift, but something to sell. Somebody may have given it to her as a gift. Rachel Zoe duvet set. And it did sell. I really do. When I'm buying items, I look at them and I'm like, how easy is that to ship? How long is it going to take? Does it take any cleaning? Does it take any testing? So this passes 3 of those 4 tests for sure. It does take up space. It only sold for $22.46, and it was free to me. I'll have to buy my mom some breakfast someday or something, but it was free to me. But that's something I would pass up unless it was $1. I just wouldn't do it because of the time involved. Now, I like to ship something like this. I have giant poly bags. And you're like, well, you got to pay for a poly bag or whatever. Well, you got to pay for a box, but you got to pay for the weight. And this is the kind of thing that would easily go into a nice giant poly bag. So I would definitely do something like that. Now that went off on 25% off. So did this. I think that's it out of this bunch. Unless, oh, so did the perfume. So we had 6 of our 15 sales go out on our 25% off offer. And that's okay with me. I'm happy when it's that much. I want that old stuff to go. However, it's pretty telling that new stuff isn't getting listed as fast as I want to get it listed. This one went off on 25% off for $11.21. Little Crystal Frog paperweight. I'll take it. We've been going over here a lot lately. Versace Dreamer men's cologne, also 25% off. That one sold for $22.46 plus shipping. I think my dad picked that up at a sale. Plus shipping. So I've always known that time is a commodity that is just not worth wasting. And especially when you have a family and if you got a job or something, you got to make these decisions on what is best for you in terms of time. And we're probably at a breaking point right now because we're doing so much, trying to ramp up the live selling and ramp up the static eBay selling, all the static selling, not just on eBay, has really taken a toll on me. And I've been buying much, much more because I want to ramp both those goals. And it's working. The money is coming in. It's working, except for today. Well, today on eBay. But I'm finding that I'm asking my wife to do more things when a big buy comes in. Because I'm buying from people sight unseen. I've done that twice now, and it's getting delivered. I'm reaching out to people, contacts that I've made over the years, local ones, and, you know, hey, bring in inventory, we're doing this or whatever. But then that stuff, even if it's going to go on live, it's got to be sorted. You don't want to sell junk over there. You got to keep everything sorted. You got to put it in the right shows. You got to make it make sense for the buyer. The logistics of that has taken a lot of time, even a little bit more time for me, and I really don't handle any of the live selling. Jess does. But that buying part of it has taken up a bunch of time. So my wife's been doing that. So you might say, oh, who cares? Well, listen, she lists a lot for us, and she has not been listing as much because of that, because she only has so much time. She's got the kids. Turner was sick. Matter of fact, he won't be in this video today. He was, you know, throwing up this morning at the crack of dawn and whatever. And so she's got to take care of all that stuff. She took Ray to practice. She's doing all kinds of stuff that moms do. And so she hasn't been listing as much. And normally when that happens and she's busy, I'll prioritize my eBay listings at the beginning of the day. But I've been so stinking busy with so much, I have not been able to do that. And there's been days where I've only listed one thing on eBay. I always list at least one thing. But I like it to be 5 or 6 before I ever pick up this camera. And then at nighttime, go ahead and list a few more. I want to get that number, 15, 20, 30 items a day. And right now we're falling well short of that. So something's got to change for us. So I'm going to walk out here and talk about a few of those things. Matter of fact, I'm going to forget here. I sold a camera the other day. The person said, hey, I'm buying this camera, but could you ship it today? And I usually don't do that, but this is a $145 camera. So I was like, yes. It's one of the Canon 35mm AE ones. Is that what they're called? I've sold so many and I can't remember. But one of those sold, so there's that one right there. That was a really nice sale the other day, but I didn't get it on camera, so I want to put it here. I want to talk about some of the options to make our goals kind of happen and where we're going to save time, even if it's 20 minutes a day, because 20 minutes a day, I can get those listings up easy. You know what, I shouldn't say that because it makes people think I can get all those listings up. I just mean 20 more minutes a day, we can get that number up by 5, 6, 8, whatever it is, and get more listings done. We list pretty quickly and we're still having trouble carving out that time because of everything else. So little tiny things you can do to change it. I've already talked about a few of them, but one of the big ones for us, this might not apply to most people because you're not a live seller. One of the big ones for us is we're going to run less live shows, but when we run live shows, we're going to double the length of them because there's always prep time in advance for those. And you can sell more items once it's up and running. You can probably sell 25% more items in a 2-hour show than running 2 1-hour shows. Especially for us, because we're putting them live on, you know, I gotta check and deal with the trolls and do all the stuff that goes into it and the preparation and the promotion on social media and all those things. So that's a tiny little change that's gonna give me probably an extra hour a week to list items, and that is probably going to be enough to keep us on track. May is going to be one of our best months when you total up the live selling and eBay, which is really cool. However, the very end of May it's going to slow down because I get a little bit busy, but it's still on pace to be really good. Let me show you some other things. Space is one of those issues. This is already unlocked, so I usually keep all this stuff locked up, but I'm not even sure I can get this out. Come on down. Space is becoming an issue. It's never been an issue for me before where we're using this trailer that's supposed to be out on the road and doing promotion. We're using this trailer for storage at this point. And that was never in my plans. But you can see, you know, we're gonna have to blow out a ton of stuff over here. And this is where I wanna be right before Q4 starts and sourcing slows down. It is not where I wanna be in May and the buying season. So getting more space is going to be key. It's kind of cool out here. I figured I'd walk around out here. This is where we buried Sophie anyway, so I come say hi to her every once in a while. So another thing that we're thinking about doing is creating a dedicated space for live selling, for shipping live selling. If my oldest boy would move out, which they're building a home, and he's very responsible and all that, so we're not kicking him out or anything. But daggone it, it's time. Because I could use that space dedicated for selling and shipping live sales. It would improve the ability for me to use that shed for eBay, not just for what you're seeing in there right now, but for immediate pictures and listings by me as soon as I buy this stuff, instead of coming in and sorting. If I've got a big giant lot of something, or Jess might be out here working on live selling stuff and sorting, or my wife is out here, where I can go in there and I can do more listing in there because I've got the ability. I can do it now from time to time, but a lot of times, you know, they're moving the live selling stuff in there to ship it and got to get it shipped into the post office before I start filming these episodes, for instance. And remember, our goal is $250,000 in sales. And so we have to ramp up both live selling and eBay at the same time, and it's proving to be a little bit more difficult. We could not do it without that space. That's awesome. But to add one more space somehow, some way into this property for dedicated live selling and shipping, where you're not moving stuff around from there to here to here to the post office, where it goes right there and everything's done in one place. We could do it there, but the internet is always a problem for me. There's no internet out there right now. There was, but we lost that internet. See, Dave is not the only one who can sell bricks. I can sell bricks too. But to be honest with you, I'm trying to avoid items like this. This only sold for $20 plus shipping. I'm trying to avoid time-consuming products to ship that aren't going for much money. I don't have trouble spending, you know, I shipped a $600 printer that took me 40 minutes to get ready the other day. No problem whatsoever doing that. But spending any amount of time over a few minutes on a $20 item that's this big, to me, I'm trying to avoid those things. And in the end, you'll make more money if you do. Speaking of time, my father, Pop, has been out of town. A lot of you love watching him on the Commonwealth Picker channel with me. He's an amazing help. And let me tell you, because we don't do pickup here, post office, they do pick up, but it is so spotty. I've had so much trouble. They have so many people that they're losing and getting new people. I can't risk it because it's bit me in the butt too many times in the past, and I don't want to risk getting anything in trouble on eBay. So we go to the post office, and I did not always have the best relationship with those people at the post office, because they would say things like, you know, scan sheet or whatever. I'm like, I'm selling on 5 different platforms. You get 5 different scan sheets. Just scan the things in. But my dad drops all the stuff off now for me. But they've been gone. They've been on a cruise. Whew. And so that's lost a little bit more time for me every day doing the little things that he does. Speaking of, I got to mow the grass because he normally does that for me too. It's so helpful to have that support group around you when you're trying to grow something, especially when they're free like my dad. So thank you. But, you know, I know there's a lot of you out there who do this completely on your own, and you do it for yourself, of course, but you do it for those around you and your loved ones, and you don't get that support. So I always want to mention that when I talk about the people that help me and my wife and my dad. And, you know, we do pay Jess, of course. There's another option. We could just pay a little bit, you know, get her to come in more hours, you know, if it's 15, 20 hours, you know, it's like, okay, make it 24, you know, something like that, to carve out that time. And it's very possible, but you pay for that stuff, right? And so to reach your goals, but to, you know, expand so much. Yeah, lots of people could sell $1 million worth of stuff if you're paying $500 in labor to people to do it, right? You know, you just niche down, do what you do. And I'm the buyer, although my wife buys a little bit too. And who wants to stop buying? That's the fun part. So there's just these little things that I've got to really tweak and change. Let me know if you're facing any of the same circumstances, and whether it's your job, that's the time constraints that's made it harder to do this. And let me know any shortcut tricks you have. I'd love to hear them. It's so funny. The next item that sold used to be sitting where ET is sitting. Well, leaning, I guess. You're kind of falling off. There you go. Don't ever forget how you don't get burned out. I'm kind of a captive of my goals, and that's a good thing. Why does this not want to sit up there? I think I'm going to move it. We're going to put these down here. I'm also OCD. And then we're going to put this here. And it's why I have these things in here to remind myself sometimes. Simplify back there, a little sign. And this one right here. I love having goals, but sometimes you can put chains around your wrists, handcuffs around your wrist, trying to meet them, and then you ignore the things in life that you shouldn't. But I still want to meet the goal. This guy, we actually took him outside. We were going to put him inside, and I hadn't even got him inside yet, just for space, because it's not Easter time. And then it sold. Is this Empire? I can't remember the brand on this. Yep, it's Empire. $22. What am I talking about? 22 inches. $55 for this one, plus shipping. Much rather sell this for $55 than sell this for $20. In my defense, this was part of the Death Pile Picker buyout. I probably would have not bought this out in the wild. Maybe for a quarter. Maybe. But these are going to be a pain to ship. And this isn't easy either, as far as time goes. I love the things that you can... That's not easy. This is like 2 minutes max kind of stuff. That's what I like to ship right there. And that. And yes, I do the eBay shipping. However, my wife comes in and helps. I'm hoping today I can get this video done in time to ship this, and she'd be comfortable with the rest of it. I might ship the laptop as well, because she ships really quick. I do not ship that quick. I mean, fairly quickly, I suppose. But boy, she comes in here. I think it's because she can focus. She's like, I'm just going to get it all shipped. And I come in here and I'm checking my phone. I'm pushing out somebody's show. I'm promoting somebody's thing on Dibdit. I'm talking to somebody. I'm trying to make a deal for a buy. I'm trying to do whatever, plan out something. I'm watching TV, or I'm watching some content over there, trying to support another content creator. And so I get distracted easily in here. But if I only have to do the big items, she can come in and wipe out the small items in like 10 minutes. She's crazy fast. Look at me. I said I wouldn't buy that and ship it for 20 bucks, but look, this was $1 and I couldn't leave it behind. I love selling little Oscars. They used to sell great and for good money. They don't sell nearly as good now, but still okay. Paid $1, sold for 20 plus shipping. And these usually fit in a box that I have without much adjustment. Just put a little paper around it and put them in there. So that'll be much easier than this, because this one will have to be reshaped. I'm not even sure it'll stand or a cubic foot anyways, but this one is pretty easy. Little Oscar by Coleman. If you're not not opposed to buying something for $1, selling it for 20, I would pick these up. There's green tops as well, and there's bigger ones too. And I think there's a little Oscar like console one that goes for really good money. So there it is. It's by Coleman. I have grown to love MCM stuff and lucite stuff. I'm getting better at picking the lady things, if you will, because there's a lot of money in it. As I've been walking back here, I realized I've seen this thing lately, which means it's on display. Yeah, there it is right there. Little lucite napkin holder. And that stuff right now goes okay. This one took a little while though, but it did still sell. 15 bucks plus shipping. Jumping outside, it's cooled off, hadn't it? Here, I got a treat for you, but you gotta sit. You gotta sit. This is Poncho, y'all, if you're new to the channel. And that is Wallen. And they're brothers from a different litter. You're the older one and the sweet one. You're a mess. Here you go. Sit. Sit. Show me you can do it. There you go. So the camera, this one is a bit of a disappointment. It is untested. No charger for it. I didn't take the time. That's the other thing, right? People take the time to, you know, if you spend 15 minutes cleaning a pair of shoes to get $5 more, it's like, I don't know about that. But if you're niched down into selling shoes, you want to have repeat customers. You want to have that trust. You want to do whatever. So for an everything seller like me, I mean, I'm not selling junk that's nasty and dirty. Don't get me wrong. I'll just leave it behind instead of, you know, getting a project. My buddy Eric OBX Picker always says, profits, not projects. Now I gotta find this camera. Speaking of which, did not go for that much. I think it's this one. Like, is it this one? I'm not sure. Is that a Kodak Easy Share? And these can go for decent money if you can test them and everything. And it's got nothing with it, and there's no battery charge or anything like that. So I think this is it. Yep, that's it. 15 bucks is all we got for that one, but I only paid $1, so I'm okay with that. I could have ordered the stuff and got a little bit more, but sometimes just get it in, get it out, make the money. That reminds me, I gotta put this did not sell. I'm not even sure I listed it yet. Are you trying to dig under the shed? I'm gonna put this one right up here. That way it'll be visible. I can fit something else back there. Let's see here. Get Snoopy there. Sorry, I'm boring you with this. Hey, you're driving people nuts. And by people, I mean me. All right, I'm looking for a woolly mammoth. Y'all, so much sold on 25% off. What did I just do? This sold. This was 15 bucks, but it was 25% off. So, profits, not projects. I'm looking for a woolly mammoth in here. Normally I have this stuff planned out. Today, y'all, I'm just winging it. Call me Dave. There he is right there. This is from Ice Age. That's Ray Romano's character, I think. And it's not a high-priced one, and it did not sell. So it went on 25% off. It means it's been in the store for 250 days. And it sold at that price, $8.21 plus shipping. It's not a great sale, but I love selling this stuff, so I have no problem with it. It's probably a 50-cent buy somewhere or $1 max. So easy to ship. I don't think I'm going to have Turner come down today. I don't want to ask him. He's feeling better. But I don't want even ask him because he would come down. He loves coming down here, which makes my heart happy. He has been on this channel for way longer than I thought he would ever want to be on this channel. And Reagan has too, for that matter. I'm pretty proud of that. And I thought, you know, when they're kids and stuff, Turner, you go back and watch some of the videos on Picker. Holy moly, he couldn't hardly talk. He loved it so much. And he still loves coming in and talking to y'all. And I always appreciate you guys for making those kids feel important. And, you know, when they're out there talking to their buddies and stuff, like, oh, yeah, my dad's got a YouTube channel and I'm on the thing. Or when the kids come over to their friends, they want to be on it too. And it's just really neat. So I don't know how much longer it's going to last. Reagan is a teenager now. She's going to start driving next year. Good grief. But I just want to say thank you for that. We'll have Reagan on here, though. All right, y'all. No lights on in here hardly. And the AC's running. And we got a zoo in here. Smart cat, though. Did he jump right up there?
I put him up there.
You're going to save him.
Yep.
But Reagan's got a thank you.
Scott got a Commonwealth picker and a Commonwealth flipper sticker.
Commonwealth picker and flipper sticker. Very good. We need, do we ever do a no-name ornament? We got to do a no-name thing.
No.
I think no-name's a favorite.
No.
Yeah, say pet me. See, he does not like.
He wants to play, but
anyway,
he doesn't want to play. Bye, and don't forget to get your stickers at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Just thought I'd show this before we ended here. Here's that MacBook, and it did require a little bit of reshaping here, but 12 by 15 by 4, 6.9. I would have guessed 7 pounds. I would have been off by an inch. Who cares? Doesn't make a difference. I could add 3 inches to this package. It would not change how much it costs to ship it. See what I mean? This is a process for this one. This one just happens to be a wrapper. Right here, I cut this, just fold them, all the lines, make the cuts, make the cut right here, which I already did, but apparently didn't go through. There it is. Make the cut right here, wrap it. It's not going to be enough, but that's not enough to pull out a bigger box for me. That's just gonna, I'm gonna take a strip right here and put a little piece across here and then put another piece across here out of my cardboard thing right there. Just wrap it like a present. However, it does take time. And that's why I like to sell those in when in doubt, parted out one. Where's my cup? This is all I have left of these cups. When in doubt, parted out. I love it. It's just a time saver and a money maker sometimes, although these don't do as good as the backgammon pieces because you can divide those into 2 lots. These are just one, and you take the board out. I'll give you an example. We estimated this one at $9.99 shipping, and it's going out at $7.16 ground advantage. Now, it's not going too far. It's going to Alabama. So if that's going to the West Coast, then $9.99 is probably pretty close to it. So that's just how we do it. I'm not saying everybody has to do it that way, but, you know, guesstimate. I mean, I just guessed. I looked at that thing. First of all, I didn't want to list it because I wanted to list it as... But it was already had pictures and stuff, so I was like, okay, let's just go ahead and do it. And so I put $9.99 on it, and we're making money on the shipping. Last one. This is the Igloo cooler. You'll see I cut an inch off of that. 1 inch, because it takes it over a cubic foot on this particular item, would have cost $6.50 more. And those cuts and those folds right there took about a minute. So it's definitely worth it on those items that are over a cubic foot that you could package up under a cubic foot to do that work. I'm going to call it a day right there with y'all, but I've got just enough time. I'm going to go out and get we're doing a massive LP show. My buddy Jimmy, Old School Flips, on Tuesday on Dibdit has amazing records, and I know I've got some good ones too, and records are a time consumer when listing. So I might pull 1 or 2 cool ones that I really don't want to part with and get them listed on eBay, and I'm going to get that show ready for next week, or at least bring it out and put it downstairs, and Jess can handle the rest. And so come join us for that. Giveaways. Oh, wait, you're missing this. This is the day after. We're doing massive giveaways for 2 hours on Friday, but I think this video comes out on Saturday. So that's tomorrow and then 2 days. So at any rate, I just want to say thank you for joining us. As always, leave those comments below. Thank you for subscribing, supporting us. And I can't wait to see you next.